welcome to episode 42.
42.
Of Life in General. My name is Ian.
And I am Nick.
Did I throw you out there?
Just a wee bit.
All right.
A wee bit.
I'm actually Nick, and you're actually
Ian, last time I checked.
Schlubbo. Schlubbo the clown.
Hey.
The shoe fits, right?
I suppose. I don't wear funny hair or...
Well, yeah, because you don't have a whole lot of it, but...
I'm more than you.
Because I shaved my head.
That's right. But anyway.
I forgot what I was doing.
A show where you insult your co-host.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeingeneralpodcast.com. On Twitter, we are at LIGpod. You can check us out on Facebook. We're available on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Spotify, everything else. We're also, check us out on our website, which is lifeingeneralpodcast.com. We got all of our previous episodes available on there. And
Do it or we'll come and find you.
something like that. Mm-hmm. So what's going on, Ian?
Well, I'm...
Hey, Ian opened his drink before the show started this time, so it's not a big...
It wasn't a big... Yeah, I did. I came prepared.
Yeah?
I'm as prepared as I've ever
There
been.
you go. Once again, Ian has nothing.
I have plenty. I have the internet right in front of me. So I am very, very prepared.
As prepared as you ever are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So there was actually, before we get into that topic at all, but there was actually a couple of things that I heard and someone talked, well, not really. Well, one of them is something I heard, another was something I read, but I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about there's a proposal in California to split California into 3 separate states.
I've heard about it. Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's a push to consolidate the Democrats into one state and then give the Republicans 2 more states. Is what it is. It's never going to pass. Mm. But I was thinking, is it something? Should the United States split? Would it be better if we were, say, 3 or 4 different countries instead of one?
It would be better for some of us. It would honestly. It probably would be better.
Well, because so I heard them talk about that, and then it made me think of a week or 2 back. I was listening to, I don't remember what show it was, but they were talking about a study, well, not a study, but a poll that was taken recently, where over half of the people that responded said that they expect in the next 10 to 20 years there to be another civil war.
Yeah, and
I'm like, if that's the road we're going down, wouldn't it be better just to split up?
It'd be a situation. If you
wouldn't it be better overall for the country if you were just say, you know what?
Well, here's the thing.
You guys have your section.
Sure, it would be, but depending on how it gets split up, you don't necessarily guarantee that you're going to end up in the right spot for your views.
Kind of the way I envisioned it would be like the Midwest and the East would split up, be a country. The South would be a separate country, and the West would be another country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do realize that gives us Ohio, Indiana.
Okay. That's fine.
And half of Michigan, the very state we live in, are all going to be still arguing the same arguments that we're arguing now.
Yeah, but
it wouldn't really. The South would be happier than pigs in slop.
But as someone that lived in the South for 8 years, or almost 8 years,
yeah,
it's a completely different fucking country.
It is.
I mean, it's completely different values.
And
everything.
Honestly, the same can be said about the West Coast,
and that's why
versus
I said
the East Coast.
And that's why I said, and that's I figured instead of making. I thought 3 different countries would be the easiest way.
I think
and if the South wants to ban abortion, do whatever they want to do, that's their own country. Let them do what they want to do, and at least that would give people the opportunity to say, you know what, fine, we're going to move to northern U.S. or whatever you want to call the new country.
Well, I mean, if you're going to split up, you might as well think of something cooler than just northern U.S. You know.
I don't know what it would be.
I don't either. I almost think every state should be its own separate country anyway.
Well, I mean, before the Constitution, they basically were.
They were, and I mean, it would be. There's too many cooks in the kitchen with the way our federal government's run. it's not that I think it needs to be smaller by any means, as far as like organizations and things like that. I'm talking about like there's how many fucking representatives are in the House?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too many. Every fucking district has somebody in there. Nothing's ever going to get done with that many people trying to work it, even if their intentions were good, and they're not.
And that's why I said if it was 3 different countries or 4 different countries, it might be easier,
right?
To be able to run, the whatever country you're in, whatever section of the United States. And the other thing is, there are parts of this country or huge sections of this country that pay a lot in taxes and take in and get very little in return. And there's other parts of the country that pay in very little in taxes and get a lot in return. So wouldn't it be easy? Wouldn't it be better for the people in the Northeast, for instance, to be their own country and to be able to pay their own taxes and use that tax money for the good of the people in that region?
It would make sense. I just know the logistical side of it would never work. We couldn't do it.
You don't think so?
I don't think we could break up. We're too entwined. We could, but I think at a point of a gun, it might be the only way to do it.
It'd be difficult. It would definitely be difficult, probably for a very long time.
I mean, think about it. Think about how expensive it could be for a divorce, and you're talking about a huge fucking divorce,
And I've said it jokingly before that maybe the worst thing that Lincoln ever did was
try to get the South back.
Yeah,
I kind of agree. I really do, because it's done nothing but hurt us having them back.
Yeah,
I mean, really. A lot of the segregation laws all came from the South, and it was the North's fault because of the way we handled the after effect.
Oh yeah,
it was how we handled elections after the fact. Because after the war, we had, if you fought for the Confederacy, you couldn't hold office.
Yeah.
So that actually opened up opportunities for former slaves to hold office.
Uh-huh.
And I forgot the presidential campaign, but the Republican Party, which was the party of Lincoln at the time, they won the election or lost the election, but by a very small majority, and they compromised somehow. There was some. I have to look it up again. They were talking about this after the press because of the disparity between the Electoral College and the popular vote. There was a similar situation that occurred, and it basically freed up the Democrats to get all of the Northern troops out of the South, and there was no longer that ban on former Confederates holding office.
Yeah.
And that's when all the Jim Crow laws and all the segregation laws went into effect in the South and spread across the country.
Yeah.
So it's really the liberal North that fucked it all up, in a sense.
Fucking liberals.
I know. We're a dangerous bunch.
I don't know. So I just thought that was really interesting. It could work.
It would work if it could be done. Yeah. That's the thing. I don't think it can be done. Because, like I said, just the logistics of it alone. Think about this. Think about some of the poorer states that kind of rely on the federal government. All those people would just... There'd be a lot of people going hungry. And most of them don't have health care to begin with. They'd have even less.
That would be something that
they would have to take care of.
Those countries would have to take care of.
But they're not willing to do anything about it now. So they're not going to do anything. But
when people are starving and dying, guess what? You're not going to get reelected.
Well, parents having their children ripped out of their fucking arms. That you would think that was something that couldn't be done either. They can let people starve in the streets. They don't fucking care.
Well, I mean, no. See, because the problem is you're talking about brown people from Mexico. They're being ripped.
I'm also talking about brown people in some of these states that are probably going to be lynched.
See, that's where you're wrong. A lot of the poor people in the South are white.
I'm just saying
but when there are starving, dying. Oh, fine. Let me rephrase that then. When there are starving, dying white people in the street, you're not going to get reelected.
I guess. Maybe.
So maybe things would change.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's something that would never happen, but it just
like I said, just because of the logistics of it. I mean, I just don't see how it could work. I mean, every single state would have to have an election to vote out of the United States to start.
Yeah.
And then they'd have to create their own little unity within whatever states they wanted to do. But it would take forever to do.
would that be a better solution than a civil war?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
And that was kind of where I was going with it.
I mean, if it's going to come to actual, like, shots in the streets, put it up for vote and just get out, secede or whatever. But
yeah.
I've thought of that as,
I could see that happening eventually.
I've always thought of that as an excellent option because I just think
civil war?
No, separating the states into
like,
their own.
shit.
Yeah. I personally think it would be a much better solution to a lot of our problems. The problem is our entire country is so polarized right now. It's just basically taking a whole that's fighting against itself into 50 other holes that are fighting against themselves, and then it actually almost increases the risk of this. Now Alabama, the country of Alabama, needs resources that are in the country of Florida.
Yeah, see that.
And now they're fighting a war between each other, and it's like,
yeah,
it's a good solution here, but it could cause other problems here, and the sheer effort it would take to do it would just be too much.
Yeah, okay, I guess so.
It's one of those happy thoughts that just look, they sound good, they just will never put in practice. Could work.
Yeah, and as far as like each state being a country, I think you're right. That'd be too
much. But you would almost risk that because you'd have to leave it up to the states to decide whether or not they wanted to stay in the United States. And if they voted not to, then by nature they become their own country.
Yeah. And
once they become their own country, they have to decide from there to join up with this group or that group. Because like I said, you'd have to give each state its own choice to secede from the union. Yeah. And once it's from the union, it's its own thing. So you couldn't just break it up into sections, is what I'm saying. You'd have to start with a state-by-state thing.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. So, anyway, about that Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, before we got into that, I was going to kind of touch on something else, too.
That's fine. Whatever. I am open because like I said, I'm equally prepared for any topic you have prepared for us tonight.
Well, yeah, because, sometimes, normally I like having a, main theme through the show, but I don't know, there's just a lot of shit going on right now. But there was another, so I'm in class I'm in school right now, and in my psychology class, we're discussing violence in media. Whether it's TV, movies, or video games,
or even music, I'm sure to some degree.
No, I don't think they mentioned music because it was all based off of a research study that had been conducted, and basically how this violence in media affects children. And very quickly, I found out I was kind of the outlier because I don't think it does.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And I mean, it might in a very, very small way, but I think there's very much larger aspects of a child's life that will play that can lead to negative things like violence over media. I mean,
and we were talking about this earlier. I think you pointed out. You said yes. If there's already a part of a child's nature that is susceptible to violence, then maybe it's going to affect them. But the vast majority of children are not going to be affected by it in that way.
And some of the comments from people in my class were, one person said basically that if you're a parent today, you should be ashamed that you have a TV in your house. And I'm like, that's dumb. That's the complete opposite of what we need.
And I'd be curious to see if that person, one, has a TV in their house, or two, is even a parent.
Yeah.
Because if they do and they're not a parent, they're at least not being hypocritical. But you can't blame the very thing.
They probably don't have kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's the other thing. You can't really. You can comment on it. I can comment on this. Because we see children. We see them growing up. We see how they're raised as non-parents, is what I'm saying. You can see the differences. You know how you were raised relative to other people around you and how you turned out. Any rational person can do that. But to judge anyone for things that you don't do.
Yeah.
Saying you're a bad parent if you let your kid watch TV, you're not a fucking parent. It's not that simple,
but it's just
it's not that evil.
It's just the fact that I'm just tired of people acting. We over shelter children.
Yes, and I think that's more detrimental to their growth than
absolutely
than letting them watch a violent TV show.
Not having a TV in the house and just pretending like nothing happens
right.
in the real world is harmful in the long run to your child.
I totally agree, and I've seen that more than I'd like to admit. People were like, "No, we don't let our children watch anything past this point. This type of show." Well, that's very limited. And I'm not suggesting you take them and let them watch porn.
No.
But I was watching slasher films when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I have yet to slash anybody. I'm all right. I turned out all right.
I mean, I
was listening to heavy metal music, watching slasher films, and I was a fucking kid. I'm fine.
I watched a lot of those movies too when I was growing up. Granted, I've only stabbed 3 people. But
You've never murdered anybody.
I've never murdered anybody. All 3 of
and
those
all
were
3 of those are accidents.
Yes.
Drunken accidents.
Ian was one of them. But
I am still here.
Yeah, Ian's still alive.
No animosity. I barely felt it. I was drunk.
But I don't even remember where I was going. Oh, it's just a lot of the comments were really crazy, though. I mean, I had one lady, like I said, you shouldn't have TVs in your house. And then, so I responded to her and I said, it's not about. And she also talked about, set a limit for 1 hour. And I was like, why? Why set some arbitrary number?
Right.
That has really. I said, instead of setting a limit and saying, look, little Johnny, you get to watch TV for 1 hour. I said, instead of setting a limit like that, sit down and just be a part of your children's lives. Sit down and watch TV with them.
Right.
Call it family time. Do whatever you want. But just be there and be a part of their lives while they're experiencing this. If something negative comes on TV, don't pretend like it doesn't exist.
Right.
Have a conversation at that time and say, look, this is what's going on. This is what happens in real life. And kind of work it that way. Use it as a learning experience. When in any situation, I always look for an opportunity for me to lead the discussion. I don't want to let outside voices influence my children.
Right.
I want to lead that. Same thing like when I talk to them about sex and things like that. I want them to have me start that discussion with them. I don't want them to be having it with their friends on the school bus. You know. And it's the same thing with anything in life, whether it's violence or whatever. I want them to use me as their role model.
Right. No, and that's how it should be. We were talking. I didn't have the TV. Wasn't like a family time thing. We watched TV together, but it wasn't like that was the only time I watched TV. I was allowed to watch stuff on my own because I like shit that no one else in my house liked.
Yeah.
And it was very limited though because. We only had one TV with a VCR in the 80s. We had other TVs, but they were rabbit ear TVs.
Yeah.
But I was able to watch stuff that I wanted to watch, and it was generally of an adult nature. Like I said, slasher films, horror films, stuff like that. Or even your Saturday morning cartoons. G.I. Joe and Transformers and all that.
Bugs Bunny. Getting mad at a guy in the theater and shooting him in the face with a gun.
Right.
I mean, that was that's the kind of shows we watched growing up.
And I understand that there's this idea of hyperviolence in this country, and it's not unfounded. But it's not coming from cartoons.
No,
or TV.
we are a violent society.
We are a violent society
because if you look at Japan, for instance, they have these same movies over there. They have the same video games. They're not violent like we are. It's just part of our society.
Yeah, and sheltering your children isn't going to change that.
No.
In fact, it's only going to make them more susceptible to the violence that's out there because they won't know how to respond to anything. I'm not saying you're going to learn that from watching TV, but you'll learn that from having conversations about what you see on TV.
I grew up in a house where we, not all the time, but a lot of, there's at least a couple of days out of the week where we would watch TV together as a family.
Well, like I said, the news, I was always on when we were family.
When we were eating dinner every night, the news was on. We talked about things. We had conversations. And I don't know. I think I've tried to raise my children the same way. I think my children are pretty well behaved. I guess they're not. But my oldest, he plays Call of Duty and all these crazy violent video games, and he's not violent. So I mean, I don't know.
and you can't. I guess you can't. The argument can't be made. Well,
that's just one.
That's just one.
Yeah.
Or that's. But it is. It is the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
They watch this stuff. We've all been raised. Especially if you're over the age of 35, you've been raised on TV as a primary source of entertainment. Mm-hmm. Whether it be movies or television shows, it's all been available to us since we were kids. Mm-hmm. And the vast majority of us are not murderers or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's the outlaw. The violent ones are the outliers. They're the ones that are the smaller percentage. That's why they're called abnormal.
Yeah. Oh no! It was really irritating. Some of the conversations I was having.
Well, it all ties in. It ties into this. The term's been coined, so I'm going to use it even though I don't like it. It's the snowflake idea that everyone is special.
No,
and they're corrupted from the outside.
I think it has more to do with the fact that parents are just fucking lazy.
Well, parents
are lazy, and they take a tablet and give it to their kids and let their kids do whatever they want on it, just as long as they stay out of their hair.
Right.
Do whatever you want, watch whatever you want.
But the same thing was said about our parents when they let us watch TV. They just put them down in front of the TV.
TV is very different than the internet.
Well, but the what you're describing is the same. That detachment, But that argument was made when we were kids. It wasn't what happened. I mean, yes, we were allowed to watch TV on our own, and there were times where it was, just go watch TV. Mm-hmm. But,
and that's fine,
right?
Sometimes,
but
it should not be the normal. And I see it time and time again, especially where I work. I see people come in, and they can't. Their kids are sitting there with their tablets. I saw an infant come in a stroller. And the mother had a flippin' iPad strapped in front on the handle, so the kid could watch whatever was on there. I'm like, your kid's like 6 months old. What the hell is it watching a freaking iPad for?
Right.
Why does it need to?
I'm surprised they took them that long to figure out to put those things on the strollers.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how old the kid was. The kid wasn't that old,
right?
But I'm like, really? That's
young enough to be in a stroller.
Yes,
anyway.
That's where we've gone. That's where our society is now.
Yeah,
fucking lazy. And I made the joke earlier about I want to write a children's book.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one page, and it's just going to say, be present in your children's lives, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
to them, they see it being present. They're buying them. They bought them that $500 tablet.
Yeah.
They're letting them play with that $500 tablet.
Yeah.
Whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the money is the issue, but it's this hands-off approach.
Yeah.
And it goes to other things. Children aren't punished anymore either. Mm-hmm. No one. I'm sure you've seen this, and not just at work, but in public in general. Parents don't even reprimand their children anymore. It's all soft talk. It's all polite talk. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
When we were kids, we didn't even get the fucking do that. We got our asses kicked.
Yeah, I got smacked in the mouth.
Yeah.
And you know what? But
there's nothing wrong with a good smack on the ass.
That's another thing. That's how I raised my children. I spanked all my kids. I smacked them all in the mouth. Whatever. When it's
appropriate.
When it's appropriate.
Yeah. And it worked for us, and it's going to work for them.
Yes.
But now you can't spank your children.
But then again, maybe that goes to that snowflake.
Yeah, corporal punishment, when you talk about it, the bad side of corporal punishment is when you're breaking their fucking arms.
Yes.
Or you're punching them in the face. Yes. That's the bad side. A couple swats on the ass is not going to damage their psyche.
No.
Or their self-worth.
No.
What's going to damage their self-worth is the fact that they're going to grow up thinking that they're better than every other fucking person on the planet, and when they realize that they're not, it's going to fucking ruin them. Yeah. More likely, they're going to get their ass kicked because they thought they were better than everyone else.
Yeah, it just and I don't want to be too judgmental on other people's parenting styles. It's just there's a lot of it that really seems just lazy to me.
Yeah, it is. It's laziness. It's bad psychology.
Yeah,
a lot of it comes from bad psychology, in my opinion. That's someone I would like to study. I would like to get a master's or a PhD in psychology eventually.
Yeah, have fun with that because I've had two psychology classes.
Yeah,
and there's been a couple times I just wanted to punch people in the face.
And I'm prepared for that. But if I'm going to go back to school, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go for the PhD.
Yeah.
So 12, 15 years of schooling, nothing like
You'll be dead before you're
I'll
done.
be dead. I was thinking about it. I'm like, is that how I want to spend the rest of my life? Just going to school?
You'll just get the PH. You'll be dead before you get the D.
Well, the D will be dead.
Yeah.
It stands for dead. But as someone who wants to get a PhD in the field, it's not a science. You have to understand it's not a science.
Yeah.
It's science-like, but a lot of times you find with these, and it's even worse now, because back in the day you would have actual child psychologists writing these parenting books. Now it's not. No, you've got fucking Jenny McCarthy writing a fucking parenting book.
Yeah, because that's exactly who you want to take parenting.
That's my point. From. That's
lying about her child being autistic because he got vaccinations. Isn't that what it was?
I know she was an anti-vaxxer. Yeah. I don't know the details.
And then come to find out her kid wasn't autistic at all or something like that. It was all bullshit.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know the details, so I'm not going to comment. But all I'm going to say is, the second someone says they're anti-vaccination, I just tune them out, because all I see is someone who's endangering the rest of the population. Yeah. In my opinion.
And it's it always boggles my mind when I meet somebody that's
I don't get it.
Against vaccinations. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to get too
we've already gone
off the deep end.
I think we've already been talking for over half an hour, and we haven't even touched our subject that we were planning on talking.
I don't know, but those are a couple of things that really
you just have to understand that there are very few definite ways to raise children. Very few things that are definite.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all.
It's all gray.
It's all gray. And
just don't beat them. Just don't beat them to death.
Don't beat them to death.
Don't starve them to death.
Don't starve them to death. And for fuck's sake, don't treat them like they're the most perfect thing in the fucking world. Well, they may be to you, but to the rest of the fucking world, they're just a fucking person.
Yeah, and that's. It's interesting you mentioned that they're just a person, because a lot of people don't treat their children like they're people.
No, they treat them like they're equals.
No, they don't.
I've seen a grown man talk to his son who couldn't have been more than 5 or 6, like he was an adult. Like, I can't even describe what it looked like. It was treating him like an equal, like he had an equal choice in every decision.
No.
And I'm like, he's 5.
But the problem I have is when, I worked with a guy in Tennessee that I want to say at the time his son was 10. And I think they still called private parts by silly names, flower and stem or something like that.
And I've known adults who do that.
I know that, but it's and that's something that we tried to do. That Mandy and I tried to do with our kids was from the time they were born. Was
use the real scientific
anatomically
names.
correct names.
Yeah,
don't baby talk children.
No,
because it developmentally it hurts them.
Right.
Talk to them like they are a person.
Yes.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, what I was talking about was actually like parents giving their children choices that they shouldn't be giving them.
And you should give your children choices to a certain extent.
Right.
But your child should always know that ultimately it is up to you whether they have a voice or not.
The impression I got in those situations was not the case.
Yeah, and you can go. I've definitely seen people go off the deep end with that.
Right.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
They want to include them in their family decisions. No.
No.
They're fine. They don't need to be included in the family fucking
My house
decisions.
is a dictatorship. I'm sorry.
And it should be. It really fucking should be.
It's not a democracy.
No, until the child's old enough to start paying you rent.
Yeah.
Then they can do whatever the fuck they want within, bounds of not destroying your house. But until that time, you are the great dictator and they are your subjects.
Yeah. And that's the way I run it. That's the way I run my house, and it's just I don't know. Now that we've talked for almost 30 minutes, would you like to talk about our topic today?
What was our topic again?
So, for you guys that are still listening.
Yes. Got Ranty McRantalot over here. I'm talking about myself.
I think it was both of us, really.
Yeah.
But
you were a little ranty today.
Was I?
Just a little bit. Nowhere near my level of rant, but because I can. Rant.
For a guy that doesn't have any fucking notes, you do talk a lot.
I don't need fucking notes. It's all in my head. It's all in my noodle.
Yeah.
The gray matter holds it all in.
Yeah. So there was a Supreme Court nomination this week.
Yes, there was.
Kennedy was retiring, right?
Yep. Fucking coward.
Why do you say that?
he could have retired at any time. He's been there. He's in his fucking 80s. He could have retired 3 years ago.
Well,
No.
but he's a Republican. Why would he retire under a Democratic rule?
Well, why didn't he retire last year then? Why now? I can tell you why now. He retired now because he knows he's going to have to deal with some form of constitutional decision when it comes to whether or not the president can be charged with a felony and all that stuff, and he knows he's going to have to deal with that. He doesn't want to fucking deal with that.
There was something, I was reading something last week, I think it was, where it was talking about, and I don't remember the exact thing. It was something to do with one of his kids is tied up with some kind of bank overseas that has some big lawsuit against it, and now, he's retiring, and now all of a sudden that whole lawsuit's being taken care of.
Well, I haven't heard about any of that stuff. I'm just looking at it on the surface, and I'm thinking.
So I'm wondering if there's some kind of shady backdoor.
Oh, I'm sure
deal.
there is. I'm sure there is. But even if that weren't the case, I just see it. I see it as a coward's move, because I know he doesn't want to have to deal with any kind of Supreme Court decision that is going to come down to him.
Yeah,
when it comes to the legality of having to maybe potentially.
I don't know.
Indict a president.
I don't see that. I don't think he worries about that. I think it's something else. I think it's either something with one of his kids, or just the simple fact that as Republicans, they feel that there is a possibility that they could lose the Senate come November. So right now would be a good time to retire so they could get a vote in prior to the election.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to push for the Senate hearings prior to November.
Yeah, it's possible. And to me, that screams guilt. If that's the case. That screams guilt to me.
That what? No, because I think that they know that it'll be a lot harder to get somebody like Brett Kavanaugh through the Senate. If it's going to be a lot harder if Democrats are running the Senate.
It would be, but it's not. It's still fucking happen.
I do want to say that his hearings last time, it took him 3 years to get a seat on the court in D.C.
And well, that was under Bush.
Yeah, but it still took. I think it was like 3 years.
Well, Supreme Court nominees don't take that long.
No. I know that.
Typically.
I know that.
And even with a Democratic Supreme Court, it wouldn't fucking matter. I mean, really.
With the Democratic Senate, you mean?
Senate, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
What did I say? Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Democratic Senate. It won't fucking matter. What people don't realize is Democrats have no fucking spine.
Well, it's not.
They won't fight.
It's not that.
And let's face it, for all the fucking hate I have for Donald Trump, he knows how to fucking fight.
But here's the
thing. He fights dirty, but he knows how to fucking fight.
Here's the thing. So the Supreme Court rules on cases that are brought by individuals against a lot of the cases are brought up by individuals against the government.
Right.
But right now you have the government is run by people that don't want to fight fight for gay rights and things like that. So what the argument that they put up there is going to be really shitty. Like the whole Baker case, Supreme Court
was a joke of a fucking decision.
But it was a shitty argument by the government, and the Trump administration argued it that way intentionally.
Right.
They intentionally submarined that case.
Right.
That's all it was. And you think they're going to do the same thing?
They won't actually have to. I mean, really, they really won't even have to. Any argument that they have,
but no,
once they stack the Supreme Court, it's not going to make any fucking difference.
But that's what I'm saying is you, regardless of who you have up there, all you need is somebody to come with a challenge to Roe v. Wade, and the government goes up there with a shitty defense of it, and it kind of it ties the hands of the Supreme Court, regardless who was up there.
These are supposed to be constitutional scholars, correct?
Correct. But they still
so the argument shouldn't matter as much as what the Constitution says.
But they can only go. They can't go outside of what's being argued. I mean, it's just what it is. They can't. There has been cases where they've done it before,
right?
I mean, Marbury versus Madison, what was that, 1803? I mean, that was
I somewhere I still have the whatever 50 or 100 whatever fucking Supreme Court cases we had to analyze for government class. I still have them somewhere. At least I hope I do. The ones that I did.
Yeah. I didn't have to do that in government class.
Fuck, we had to do it otherwise we didn't graduate.
Wow.
And I was just a year behind or a year ahead of you. Why didn't you have to do that?
I had a different teacher.
No, both classes had to do it. It was a guarantee every year.
Not mine. At least I don't remember doing it.
We had to do. It was. I think the minimum was 50, and I want to say it was even closer to 100.
Really?
You had to pick. Let's say 50, just for the sake of argument. 50 Supreme Court cases. And you can pick any 50 you want, and you had to do a little breakdown of each one of them. Otherwise, you didn't graduate.
I don't know. That was 25 freaking years ago. I remember.
It wasn't 25 years ago. It was 20 years. It was 21 years ago for you, 22 for me, and I still fucking remember
That's almost
it.
25.
I still fucking remember it.
Well, I don't.
Well, you smoked too much weed back then, I guess.
Maybe. Because I did smoke a lot.
Yeah, you did.
I think my senior year, I probably slept through a lot of my government class. Too.
Yeah, well, I didn't sleep through. I slept through government class a little bit, but
I didn't have to be there for it. I still aced all the exams. I mean,
yeah, but that was our final exam. We didn't have a final exam. We had to do the Supreme Court cases.
Really? Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
I can't believe you don't remember that. And if they didn't make you do it, I'm really fucking pissed because that was 5 fucking weeks of work.
Yeah,
they told you at the beginning of the year.
And apparently it did nothing because you don't remember any of them.
Well, no, it was 22 fucking years ago. I remember nothing of them, but
that's great. That's great.
But still, it's like I said, I have them somewhere. I'm sure I do, but
so yeah, it's gonna be kind of interesting. I mean, he's gonna get confirmed.
Oh, I thought he already was.
No. He was just nominated. They have to go through the whole confirmation process.
It fucking matters.
And that's why I said.
I don't understand. It doesn't fucking matter.
And that's what I was saying. The last
you get confirmed right away.
When he was nominated for the D.C. Circuit Court, it took, I want to say, 3 years for him to get confirmed.
Yeah. If it takes 3 days, I'll be fucking shocked.
No, it'll take longer than that. It'll take longer than that. Because the Democrats have already voiced opposition to him. But, he's really no different than Anthony Kennedy.
He's a little bit more conservative.
Not really. I mean,
I know Kennedy was pretty conservative.
He was.
Where he's not going to be conservative on gay rights. His record has already shown that.
That can be kind of misleading too, because as a circuit court judge, your hands are tied by the Supreme Court.
Right.
So really, you can only rule in line with what the Supreme Court says. So if he's part of the Supreme Court, it could be different, because you're right. He has said before that he's not, well, and before he's come out and said and ruled in favor of Roe v. Wade also.
Well, but here's the thing. I guess the argument that I'm making is, and this is true no matter who it is, how much personal views get pulled into it.
Yeah.
To some degree, even someone as distinguished as Ginsburg, there's always going to be a certain personal viewpoint that's applied, at least to the...
There's not supposed to be, but...
There's not supposed to be. The problem I have with it is, and it may not necessarily be true of this guy, but what it is true of is people who have surrounded themselves with Donald Trump, with the Trump administration, and generally with the Republican Party nowadays. They don't care about public opinion. They don't care about the poll numbers. They don't care what the majority of the country says. They do what they want to do. Yeah. And that's been shown time and time again. They fought gay marriage, even though gay marriage has got a 77% approval rating and nationally speaking. They fight against any kind of legislation that might curtail gun violence, even though 60% of the country is in favor of having some logical gun regulation. Yeah. They don't care. And if he's chosen by these same people, I'm worried that he doesn't fucking care.
Well, I don't know. It just
and if you're smart enough, and he's got to be intelligent enough, you can word any argument or any decision that you put down on paper. You can word it in a way where I could do it and make it sound like it had nothing to do with my personal opinion, regardless of the arguments, regardless of what the majority of the nation wants. It doesn't fucking matter. at all anymore. None of it matters anymore. I've gotten to this point where I don't. The Democrats could take the House and the Senate in November. It won't make any fucking difference.
No, you're right.
It won't make any difference.
It won't.
We could even.
I wouldn't say it won't make any difference.
A Democrat could win the presidency in 2020. It won't make any fucking difference because all the damage has already been done.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a lot of it's reversible. You can always fix those kind of issues. If the Democrats win the Senate in November, it will make a difference. Because I've
become far too pessimistic.
Well, because they at least get to set the agenda in the Senate. You know,
but they're fucking cowards. They won't. They'll bow to his rhetoric, his prodding, everything. Donald Trump is the quintessential politician because he doesn't even have to know what the fuck he's doing, and he's getting everything he wants.
I'm trying to remember. Do you remember reading what Brett Kavanaugh did in the George Bush administration?
I thought he was just Bush's nominee for.
Yeah, but I thought he did something with.
He was staff secretary during the presidency of George W. Bush.
Okay.
And then he was nominated for Associate Justice for the Supreme Court of the United States. And has now been. I'm sorry, I was reading that.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's right. He worked for Ken Starr. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, Ken Starr. Yeah.
And
which pushed for the impeachment of Bill Clinton. He
was one of the lead writers in the Starr Report.
Yeah.
Which urged the impeachment of Bill Clinton.
Yeah. So a winner by far.
You know what? I mean, as much as people bash on Clinton being impeached for a blowjob, I mean. He shouldn't have been. And he should have never been under oath to begin with for any of that.
Right.
But he did lie under oath. I mean, it just.
And yes, he did, but he did it in a very clever way.
And that's what he got impeached for.
Yeah.
He got impeached for lying, which he did lie.
Well,
he didn't get impeached for a blowjob. That's
yeah.
That's not exactly true, but
should he have been under oath?
No, he shouldn't have. It's.
Having to talk about his personal life,
and that's why I said it. It's not.
That's my point. Whether he lied or not, it doesn't matter. Anyone would lie under any circumstance when it comes to their own private fucking life.
For the most part, I don't see presidents' personal lives being. It shouldn't matter to.
No, where it does matter, where it does is when you have Donald Trump. And I'm not singling him out because he's not the only president who's been unfaithful to their wives.
Oh yeah, because
they've all been.
JFK was notorious
for it. He's not the only one. And granted, in his little Stormy Daniels situation was long before he was president.
Oh yeah,
or not long, but it was 2 years before.
And if you're a reality TV star in the 2000s,
right,
and you're not clipping porn stars, I'd be surprised.
Here's the problem: he runs on. He's voted in by family values people who, for 8 fucking years, thought Barack Obama was the fucking Antichrist.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama, as far as his social life, his personal life, is probably the cleanest president we've ever fucking had.
Probably.
And they went after him like crazy, but they can overlook.
But here's
now
the thing.
They can overlook because it's their fucking guy.
Because I've said it a bunch of times. It's because we live in a tribalistic society. We are going to, regardless of who, and it's the same thing on the Democrat side. Regardless of who the Democrats put up, the Democrats are going to go full bore for him.
We almost have to
because he's there because he's the leader of our tribe, and same thing for the Republicans. Regardless of who they put up there, Republicans are going to support them.
Republicans are far more tribal than Democrats.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Democrats will turn on each other on a fucking dime.
But
they do it all the fucking time.
But when it comes to our tribe against their tribe, they're always going to go for our tribe.
I suppose. Well. Yes, you're right.
And that's one of the things that drives me fucking crazy about this country.
Yeah, but you almost have to because once one tribe's there, you have to fight it with another if it's wrong. Yeah, I mean that's the only way to do it, and that's kind of the point I'm talking.
But the
Democrats don't know how to fucking take on.
The problem is in a lot of ways the Democrats aren't any fucking better.
Well,
a lot of the Democrats are nothing but a bunch of fucking corporatists.
Well, 90% of them. That's what
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's I don't know. It just I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole.
Well, no, because you're right, and I know people who.
Of course, I am.
Who Keep pushing that button. Because I know people
I'll push the button.
That was easy.
Are we one of the... Do you have the sound effects now?
Yeah, there you go.
Dingo and the baby.
That was easy.
There you go.
Jesus Christ. You remember that episode of Family Guy?
Yeah.
I know people who will not vote for any Democrat that's nominated who's a corporatist.
I mean,
and they share all of the liberal views. They are totally against everything the Republicans stand for. Mm-hmm. But they just won't vote for a corporatist Democrat. Even though
those are
90% of them are fucking corporatists. But that's what I'm talking about.
That's a very, very, very small number of people.
No, that's everyone who voted for Jill Stein or stayed home in 2016.
Yeah.
And look at where we're at now. And I try to argue that, yes, you can be tribal and you can have your side, but you have to look at the big picture, too. Yeah. Democrats don't look at the big fucking picture. Well, Republicans always look at the big fucking picture.
Sometimes they look at the big picture and they screw it up. It's like with the whole 2016 election. All I keep hearing is, well, Donald Trump didn't win the popular vote. Donald Trump didn't. Oh, we need to get rid of the electoral college because Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. You know what though? You take California out of it. You take California and New York out of it. Fucking Trump cleaned house.
Yeah.
You take those two states out, he cleaned house. He won the popular vote, and he won the election in an electoral landslide.
Right.
Taking out California and New York.
You can't take those out.
I know that. The thing that drives me crazy is I hear Democrats open their fucking mouth and run their mouth about that all the time, and it makes them sound stupid.
Well, here's the argument that can be made for that. Not that I would ever argue to have the electoral college taken out, but you can point out that I don't know if it's happened before, but in my lifetime, just in my voting lifetime, we've had 2 Republican presidents benefit from the electoral college against the popular vote.
But who's to say in 30 years it doesn't switch? And
my point is up to this point it hasn't.
And instead of New York and California, it's Texas and Utah. Let's say those are the two big states right there, and then all of a sudden, the Democrat doesn't win the popular vote anymore because of those 2 states. Right. So I mean, you can't. We have the electoral college for a reason.
No, I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying that Democrats are going to argue against it because we're the ones that have been burned
twice. That's it.
Still twice,
and actually not
But see,
hold on a second, because in 2000 when they actually finished the recount after the Supreme Court halted it, when they finished it, Gore actually won Florida.
That's my point, and we still gave it to Bush.
Yes, well, the Supreme Court did.
Right. My point is that 2 times in just in the last less than 20 years, we've had that situation burn the country.
It should have only been once.
And this is where it shows that elections have consequences.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that Gore would have been a better president, but I don't think we would have gone into Iraq.
Yeah,
there's benefits to it.
You can't really say that, though.
Say that, but what I'm saying is...
Because you don't know. We might have.
I highly doubt it. I really...
Is it a possibility?
No, of course it's a possibility. And I guess you can only look at it in hindsight anyway. But it goes to show that elections have consequences. Yeah. A Bush presidency was not the best thing for our country. Not to say the alternative would have been better, but what we got was not the best thing for our country.
Maybe not.
We've had enough time to analyze it. It was not the best thing for our country. A Trump presidency is most likely not going to be the best thing for our fucking country. It's already showing signs of not being the best fucking thing for our country.
But then again, I don't know if a Hillary presidency would have been a whole lot better in the immediate.
I think in the immediate it would have been fine. I think in the long term there might have been consequences.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think in the short term it would have been much better.
Because it's like I mentioned, I think I mentioned this on one of our previous episodes, that there was a poll or by all these presidential scholars, I use that with my air quotes, about ranking the presidents, and they had Trump as the worst.
Right.
And I'm like, how can you look at a current president and to rate his presidency. When you really won't know the long-lasting effects of his presidency until 10 years after he's out of office.
True, but you can look at certain details, certain character.
But I don't give a shit about character. I'm talking about policy.
It should always be about fucking character. I want people with principle and character. I don't want fucking showman and whatever the fuck he is. I don't want that.
Snake oil salesman?
That's the problem. You think it's tribalism? No, the problem is we've lowered the bar so fucking low for every goddamn thing in this country. Everything. It's so fucking low. From our entertainment all the way up to our fucking president. It's always the lowest fucking common denominator. It's never the highest.
Because that's what sells.
That's
what sells. Hell,
if that's the country that people want, then we're destined to fucking die.
That's why the fucking Rock is talking about running in 2020. Because
he won't. If he does, it's the stupidest fucking thing he could do. He'd probably win.
You know what?
It'd still be a stupid fucking idea.
In 2014, we'd say the same thing about Trump.
In 2014, we did say the same thing.
I know.
About
That's
Trump.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
The Democrats don't need their own Trump.
No. What we need are people that put good policy in place.
Yes.
But the problem is, I don't know if we're going to get that.
There's no signs of us getting
regardless of who gets elected.
If our country really wants to keep living at this, like I said, lowest common denominator level,
but that's where we're at.
Then we all deserve to fucking go.
We live in a honey boo boo country.
This country's over. It needs to end. It needs to end. I feel like fucking Luke Skywalker. It's time for the fucking thing to end.
So I don't remember what country it was from. I don't remember if it was from the UK or Canada or what. But I was reading something recently where they were talking about how you are currently watching the slow decline of the United States.
Slow? I think it's going fucking fast.
No,
as shit.
It's not. It's not. And I don't remember the
Think
exact.
about this.
What?
When I talk about lowest common denominator, just 25 years ago, what we're dealing with now, we never would have imagined. And it's all just happened in the last 20 years. There's no way we would have imagined anything like this. I'm talking pre-9/11 here.
As far as?
Any of it. A fucking reality TV show president.
But we've had
George Bush.
We've had
4 wars.
We've had terrible presidents before.
Yes.
We've had showman presidents before. We've had, not reality TV star presidents, but
I'm just saying
we
now.
None of this is new.
Oh, it is new. It's new.
Not.
It's
not.
It's extreme. It may not be new, but it's extreme.
Okay.
And these extremes are far more dangerous than anything that we've ever dealt with as a society. I'm not talking about Democrat or Republican. I'm talking about society and where we're going from here.
Mm-hmm. We
have a population, this country, that's what I was talking about. We have a population who 40%, Nick, 40 fucking % of this country think the earth is 6,000 years old. We're anti-intellect.
It's not 40%.
It's 40%.
It's
Nick.
not 40%.
Look it up. It's 40%.
It's not 40%.
All right. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But
I'd be willing to bet money on that.
All right. Well, I'll look it up, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Regardless, if it's more than 1%, it's too fucking high. We are anti-intellectual.
You're always going to have crazy people. You're always going to have people that think the earth is flat.
That's my point. That the number of those people are fucking growing. They're growing. That number is growing.
But at least with the flat earth people, there's a lot of them that I don't think actually really believe in it.
Why would you cling to something you don't fucking believe?
Because it's almost comical to watch people. It's I don't know. It's interesting.
If you're holding to a belief like that just to make people laugh, that's pretty. I don't know. I don't get that. Because it makes you look fucking stupid. Are you looking at that number? Because I was going to do that. Because I'd much rather be proved wrong and have an accurate number.
No, I don't know. Oh, I see where you're getting your number from, but you got to look at the websites you get shit from.
Well, what site is that? Because I didn't actually get it from the website.
Livescience.com. That's not exactly a...
How do you know? Do you know anything about it? I don't know anything about it. And I'm sure that number's different based on what state you live in, too, for the record.
But I know where you're going, because I do know young earthers. And
Young earthers.
And a very
flat
small.
earthers.
I don't know any flat earthers.
Thankfully, I've never met one in
I
person
don't.
either.
At least, well, hold on.
I've never met one in person, at least that I know of.
Yeah, because I mean, it's flat Earth. I mean, that's a little weird.
But like I said, that number is growing. It's fucking growing. And the point I'm making is this: we live in this anti-intellectual bubble. We can't let new ideas in. We don't want any ideas in. And every time you try to give someone a new idea or a new way of thinking about something,
it's because people don't want
fake news.
It's because we live in a lazy society. People don't want. People only
That's
want.
what killed the Romans.
I know
Roman
that.
Empire.
I know that. And people only want information that is going to validate
what they are, what they
validate
already
their
think.
beliefs. Yes. That's all people want. You know, we live in a headline society. People only read the headlines in the news story. They don't read the article.
I don't even know why we bother talking about it, because we're just.
I know it's
going to end.
That's why we don't talk about this kind of shit.
I know.
That's why I started off talking about parenting and what else is it? What else?
Well, some of it stems from that bad parenting.
That's true.
I guess my point is I just
and
I've kind of
real quick though. Sorry to interrupt you, but I have heard a lot of people, especially in the last couple of years, talk about how school is not important, college isn't important. I have heard that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is some validity to that, or a lot of validity,
right?
To the dumbing down of America. But that also comes down to funding for public schools in the United States.
Right. No, you're right. But that's what I mean. I think it's...
there you are with that phrase again. What? I'm right.
Anyway, I think it's just time for it all to end. I really do.
What, the show or our country?
Well, I think they both go at the same time.
That's what we were talking about, splitting up the country. Hey,
no, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not promoting anarchy, but I'm just thinking it might do society, it might do the world some good to have another 10 or 15 years of a dark age, kind of thin the herd a bit.
I mean, some people would say that we are in one already, but
no, I don't know.
An intellectual dark age.
Oh, we are for sure, which is so fucking weird, because why is it we can rely on science to make our fucking cell phones and make our computers?
Well, we don't.
And
we don't. That's all made overseas. So it's not.
I'm talking in the human race.
Yeah. Okay,
why can we rely on that, but we can't rely on science to say that we evolved from lower life forms, or that the galaxy is 14 billion years old? We can't rely on that, but we can rely on... I don't understand. Where's the disconnect? I know where the disconnect is, but I'm not going to bring it up with you.
No, because that's not an argument we want to have.
Not right now.
Not, yeah. Because I'm a Christian. I believe in evolution.
And a lot of them do. A lot of Christians do.
A lot of them do.
There's a lot that don't.
You're right. A majority of them
One
don't.
of them is Secretary of fucking Education.
I would say a majority of them don't, but there is it's not a big majority. I want to say the number is somewhere like...
That's fair.
I want to
right.
say it's like 60-40, because I read something not too long ago on that.
It's a fair assessment, but it's still too high. It's still too high when the evidence is there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's come a long way in the past, because that number would not have been 60-40 25, 30 years ago. That number was probably 80-20 then.
Yeah, but we didn't have someone who believed that as a Secretary of Education, because we were taught about evolution in our classroom, in our science class.
I know. I just had an evolution. We just learned
Evolutionary
evolution
biology.
in college. Yeah. So
college is held to the same standards.
I know that, but
generally, I would hope they're held to higher standards. So
I don't know, the liberal bastion that is.
Yeah, well, I
college.
mean, and that's where I go off on liberals. I will challenge conservative policy every day of my life.
But that's what I'm saying. Is a lot of Democrats aren't any fucking better. It's
but
just
on social issues,
a different crazy end.
Yeah, on social issues, when it comes to not so much the rights of others, but overcompensating, liberals are the worst.
Yeah,
because they don't want. it's not that they don't like the ideas. They're just afraid to offend anybody. And that's just as bad as not liking the fucking ideas.
I know.
Because the end result is the fucking same. When you start blocking people from hearing ideas, thoughts, whether they're good or bad, that's up to the individual to analyze and decide for themselves. But nobody wants to hear them. That's why they ban people from talking at colleges.
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's fucking stupid. That's where the liberals are going.
But it always,
and that's why the
it reminds
conservatives
me
keep winning.
It reminds me of, people used to always say, if you don't like abortions, don't have one, or if you don't like gay marriage, don't have one.
Right.
If you don't like what people say, don't show up.
Well, right. Don't tell them they can't show up. Just don't go
show
listen.
up. But don't say, I'm not going to show up, so you can't fucking show up either.
Right.
That's the thing that drives me crazy. But and I look at a lot of political races from not only the state of Michigan, but all over the country. And the thing that really drives me crazy, and I think is fucking stupid, is the Democrats. That's about all they play. Is
SJW cards.
Yeah, that's their political campaigns.
Right. That's why they keep losing too. Honestly, that's the biggest reason. There's nothing wrong with making sure that there is equity in the world.
Yeah.
We all want that. We want a more equitable world. But maybe, I don't know, if you're a politician, maybe you should be focusing on
policy,
job creation. I don't know, talking to the same people that vote for Trump and try to explain to them your way of thinking, your policies that might actually fucking help them.
I'll leave it like this. That whatever political party comes out and talks policy is going to win the next election.
I really don't think so. Not against Trump.
I think so.
Because Hillary did talk policy.
But this is the thing. If you
she did.
If you come out and just play social issues, you're not going to fucking win.
No, because it never wins.
No,
because you're not talking to middle America.
That's the card that Democrats play, and it's stupid.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with fighting for equity. Nothing.
You know why they do that? Because it's really good at raising money. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right,
I'm looking at the gubernatorial candidates for the state of Michigan, and there's two that I would have no problem having on the ballot, but there's one that I really don't want, and she's probably going to be the one.
Yeah.
Because she's the corporatist. She's the one getting all the backing from the party.
Yeah, I saw some of her ads, but I don't know. Before we get too far off, I don't know.
Well, we've already been off talking. I went off on a rant again. I'm ranty. I'm a ranty person. I don't like things. Things make me angry.
Before we run too long, you got anything else you want to add? I mean,
Democrats have no spine and Republicans have no soul.
I wouldn't say that.
I do.
There's a lot of them that do. There are good There are good Republicans out there. Unfortunately,
they don't have any spine because they're not standing up for their own party.
Yeah.
Some of them do. They only do when they're leaving.
Yeah, that's true.
So the ones that do it for when they're leaving, I don't think are courageous. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it.
They do it,
but they're not. It's not any courageous act. And I wish Democrats would start taking a little cue from that instead of not from that, but from stand up for what you believe in instead of lining your fucking pockets.
No, that's the problem.
With donor money.
There's too much money in politics. But anyway, that's a completely different argument.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the core of the problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, if any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and all that garbage. Well, that's about all I got. Ian.
Yeah. I'm really not an angry person. Just so you know, I'm really not. I'm just angry about certain things.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace. Hey, guys, real quick. This is Nick again. I forgot to mention, we're going to do a Facebook Live episode again.
2 weeks. 27th.
Yeah. So is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it's the 27th, yeah. We'll update it on the website and the Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll put it online, which it's a Friday, right?
I think it's a Friday, yep.
So what time you want to do it? Like
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock on the 27th, we're going to do Facebook Live. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet.
No, we're going to try to have it lighthearted.
It's going to be non-political. That's
definitely
for sure.
Non-political.
We'll do something fun you guys can interact with. But yeah, go ahead and check us out. Check out the Facebook page. I'll put some stuff on there about it. I'll probably put something on Twitter also. So yeah, come out and check us out on the 27th for the Facebook Live. All right, but that's about it.
Talk to y'all later again.
Peace again.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub. Hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you done called Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water. Bring that shit in bottles. We mash at the party. That hit when we styling. Wildin' out of the party.